Well, and a happy Thursday to you all out there. This is the Maine Hockey Report brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. I'm your host, Benjamin Kennedy. Thank you so much for checking this out today. We are getting ready for playoff hockey. The Maine Mariners and the Adirondack Thunder will be starting their series tomorrow night at 6 p.m. from the Cross Insurance Arena. We will be on the pregame call there at 5:45 on the Mixler app and Flow Hockey TV. So if you don't attend the game live, you can come, check us out there. If you are going to be heading to the arena tomorrow night, get there early. There will be a block party starting at 4 p.m. before the doors open at 5. So should be a good time. All sorts of energy, all sorts of activity. So go get there early if you're planning that trip to the city. Let's take a look at this series, guys. A lot to talk about here today. These teams playing each other 15 times during the regular season. And of those 15 games, 8 of them went to overtime. So it just tells you, despite the win-loss disparage, how close these two teams really are. Adirondack did get the 10 wins, 10-5 for them. Maine 5-5. So 5 overtime losses in there for them. But guys, we know that as the year went on, Maine started to figure this out a little bit, started to play a little bit differently, with a little bit more confidence. And we also know there were a couple of big trades that were made. Zach Jordan coming over from Fort Wayne and Anthony Venuto came over from Kalamazoo, a couple of big trades that the coach was able to pull off. And both of these guys play with a physical presence, both really good goal scorers. Both have been just really, really good fits and kind of helped change the narrative of this series. Since January 31st, Maine is 4-3 against Adirondack in those 7 games. So 4 of the 5 wins they got after those 2 trades. So just tell you quite a bit right there, just how the makeup of the team changed when Jordan and Venuto came in. But yeah, Maine obviously home ice advantage in this series. That one is a little different from the NHL, where it's a 2-3-2. So games 1 and 2 in Portland, 3, 4, and if necessary 5 in Glens Falls, and then 6 and 7 will be back in Portland. But let's take a look at this offense, guys. How do they match up? I always like to look at how, the depth of each offense. And Maine has very, very good depth. I've been very impressed with this all season. Maine has 8 players with 15 or more goals on their team. Adirondack only 5. Now, with Adirondack, a number of those guys were up in Utica, so you wonder if more of them had played longer in Adirondack, maybe that number would be higher. But, what I love about this Maine team is you can have your third line could be your first line. Your second line could be your fourth line. Your fourth line could be your second line. I mean, so many interchangeable parts. You just have really good, strong depth all the way down through. I think it's quite something. When we look at some of the leading scorers here for the groups, these are obviously very familiar names, guys. We'll start with Adirondack. It's McManus, 31, 36, and 67. Then it drops all the way down to 49 points. That's for Hansel, 8 goals, 41 assists for that 49 points. Salhaney with 42 points, Taylor with 39 points, Campbell with 34 points. So quite a drop-off. McManus really leads the charge for them. The offense really flows through him. So I do think that will probably be a focal point for the Mariners defensively, is keep him off the score sheet and your odds really go up. Now let's look at the Maine Mariners. Of course, Brooklyn Kalmakoff, 21, 41, and 62. Max Andreev, maybe my MVP candidate for the year, 19 goals, 43 assists for 62 points as well. Rookie Robert Cronin, 19, 37, and 56. Heck of a year for him. Jacob Hudson, 23 goals, leading the team in goals, 26 assists for 49 points. And then, of course, Jacob Perreault, 15, 24, and 39 for himself. So, a lot of really good, dynamic offense for the Mariners. I do think that is an edge that they have coming into this series. I believe the goals scored 223 for Maine to 213. So Maine did outscore them. I know it's only 10 goals, but it's just another metric we can look at that. I do think, though, it's more about style of offense, how these two teams get to those goals. We know the Adirondack, very much a heavy forechecking type of team. That's how they like to play. They want to put some intimidation in you, separate man from puck and take it from there. Now, Maine can forecheck as well, but I think more of their style is based on, speed. And again, that offensive depth, you're controlling the neutral zone, connecting on passes and getting into their cycle offensively. And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, what I love about Maine is I do think they are I do think they're the better built offense because I do think they have forechecking in their game. You see it. You have some heavy hitters on the Mariners as well, but I do think they're a little bit faster. And as I said before, I do think the deeper you go into these games, the better advantage Maine has because I do think they skate better. I think they're more gifted skaters. I think they're quicker. I think they're faster. And I think as if you're at Adirondack, you're spending all that time out there forechecking all game, it wears you down a little bit. Maybe I'm overstating it, but I do think stylistically, we know how different these teams can be. And I really do think it's going to be curious to see who can get to their game first, who can kind of set that pace of play first will really dictate, I think a lot of things from an offensive perspective. Now, guys, when we turn to the defense, what I really love now is that Maine is about as healthy as they've been all year. We remember all the injuries they had on this blue line, all the different guys. If you go and look at the transactions list going back through January and February, it's like, coaching staff, they were doing everything they could just to get blue line guys, picking up free agents, PTOs, all kinds of stuff. But they are as healthy and as deep on this blue line as they've been, really all season, guys. And we'll look at defensively. Of course, Massacott is back. Underwood is back. Nielsen's healthy. Gallatin's there. Nick Anderson, of course, the new kid, Dylan McKinnon. Bellamy, of course, Loki Johansson returning to the team as well. And there's still a chance that Colin Felix could end up here in Maine, who's played very well in his time down here. So I love the depth defensively. When you look at goals against on the year, Maine, 177 goals against. That's an average of 2.46 goals against per game. And Adirondack, 216. 3 goals a game. So I think an edge there where Maine just defensively, I think, tends to be a little stronger, a little more structured. That's a plus 46 in goal differential for Maine, a minus 3 for Adirondack. You don't always see a lot of playoff teams with a minus there in that goal differential, but that's what you have. That's what you have there, guys. I do want to take a quick look at specialty teams here, guys. I'm just going to read off some of these stats for you. Power play overall, these are overall numbers. Adirondack 19%. Maine was at 21.8% on the season. But let's look at those numbers versus, just in those 15 games. It does go down a little bit for both clubs. Adirondack was 9 for 55 on the power play against Maine. That's a 16.4%. Maine was 20.3%, 12 for 59. Now, when we look at the PK, Adirondack 79.8%. That's an overall number on the year. And Maine was at 85.1%, 38 for 255. So, again, Maine with a slight edge there. And again, when we look at these numbers just against each other, the Adirondack Thunder 79.7%, Maine 83.6. So even though, Adirondack's a very good team, Maine is still well over 80% in the PK. So you like that for the Mariners. Penalty minutes per game, Adirondack averages 15.9 to Maine's 13.4. So, both teams not afraid to get to the penalty box. Again, Adirondack plays that physical style, so that's going to lead to probably a little bit more time in the box. But yeah, it's hard to look at those numbers and not feel good, if you're the Maine Mariners. No sport flips faster than hockey. One power play, a goalie pulled with 2 minutes left, and everything changes. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for that kind of chaos with live betting from puck drop to the final buzzer. And DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If you place a pre-game player prop bet and your player starts the game but leaves in the first period due to injury and doesn't return, you'll get your bet back in cash. No bonus bets, no opt-in, just real protection when injuries happen early. New sportsbook customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN so you're ready for the moment. That's code THPN. Turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer.
I think a big story in this series, guys, is going to be goaltending. I think both teams really, really gifted with goaltending and just real depth, in net. Of course, we know our guys here for the Maine Mariners, Kavalin, 2.35 goals against, a .917 save percentage, 18 wins for him on the season. Of course, a few different call-ups, 2 Providence throughout the year. And Brad Arvanitis, what a tremendous year he had, a 2.17 goals a game. Goals against average, I should say, and a .929 save percentage, 22 wins. Now, when we look on the other side, of course, a couple of very recognizable names here. And we're going to take a quick look. Jeremy Brodeur, 2.69 goals against and a .908 save percentage, 23 wins for him. And Tyler Brennan, a 2.96 goals against and an .898 save percentage, 13 wins for him. So I would say a big question for Coach Kowalski is who do you start? Who do you start in net? Because RV was so good all year. I feel like he's probably deserves to get that night one start. But flip a coin, right? Because Luke has been very, very solid himself. And then you do wonder, do you ride the hot hand or do you rotate these guys in and out? Now, it's so much different than the NHL. In the NHL, you might get a day, maybe 2 days off in between games. But here, you're playing, at least here to start the series, back-to-back nights. So I won't be shocked if you see both of these goaltenders throughout this weekend. Should be interesting, but I think you should feel really confident whoever you have in net. And what I love, too, is that I don't believe the Maine Mariners have to play any different depending on who's in net. You see that sometimes. You see teams say, well, we got to buckle it down defensively a little bit because we really don't trust our goaltender back there. Or, hey, we can play a little more loose and free because we've got a guy here that we know can bail us out if we get tripped up. So that will be really, really curious. Now, let's take a look at the numbers, again, just through those 15 games for both of these goaltenders. Looking at RV against Adirondack this year, played 9 times. Had a 4-1-3 record, a 2.15 goals against, and a .926 save percentage. For Luke, got into 6 games, 1-4-2, a 3.4 goals against, and an .890 save percentage. Now, it's a small sample size. It's only 7 games. And, kind of from a context perspective, we'd have to really look back and see, well, what was really going on in those games? Was this, Luke having some bad nights, or was our defense playing a little bit, rough in front of him? I know some of those starts were from early on in the year where Maine did struggle with Adirondack. So take those numbers with a grain of salt. But, clearly Brad had some good luck there, got 4 of the 5 wins. When you look on the other side, how did the 2 goaltenders in ADK fare against the Maine Mariners? Now, Jeremy Brodeur, pretty darn impressive. 7-0-1. A 1.94 goals against and a .930 save percentage. So, ouch. Tyler Brennan got into 7 games, 3-2-2, a 2.9 goals against and a .906 save percentage. So, Maine really had their success when Brennan was in net. And good goaltender himself, Brodeur, I think no doubt should be getting that game 1 start. And that's going to be something to really watch, is how does Maine attack that? How do they figure him out? Because he's gotten the better of them, all throughout the year. And I'm sure it's something that, the coaching staff is really taking a look at. How do you attack him? How do you get goals by him? And, keep up, because he, again, has been very, very good against Maine all season long. So who has the edge in this series? Who, in your opinion, has the edge? When we look at the offense, who do you like better? I tend to like Maine offensively. I think they're deeper. I think they have better skaters, and I think they have a lot of ability there. Defensively, I think it might be more even. Now, we look at the goals for and the goals against, the 2.46, goals against per game for Maine versus 3 for Adirondack. But, some of these are all regular season stats. We know that. So again, we have to take this all with a grain of salt. Seeing Adirondack as much as we have, I do think they're fairly even defensively. Kind of a coin flip because Adirondack, man, they got some big boys on their roster. Let's just take a look back here, guys, at their defense. Vandalise at 6'7". You got, Hansel's going to be out there. Luke Reed just came down from Utica. And of course, Jacob Graves, I believe their captain, 6'2". So they've got some sizable guys. And again, from a defensive perspective, Maine is as healthy as they've been, which will be a real good thing for them. But I think from a defensive stance, I think they're both fairly even. I do give Maine the edge in specialty teams. I think just their overall body of work has been stronger and better, both from a power play perspective and from a penalty kill perspective. And again, their defense being healthy is really going to go a long way. And goaltending, man, this is one that I kind of struggle with. Who has the edge there? It's really tough, man, because Brodeur has been so good. Arby's been so good. Kavlin's been really good. Brennan struggled a little bit at times, but a very accomplished goaltender himself. This is going to be a very well goaltended series and probably kind of a flip of a coin. I think if it's, Brodeur versus Arby, I think it's very much a flip of a coin, something to watch. So, really, when you look at that, I give Maine a slight edge offensively, very even defensively. I give Maine a slight edge in specialty teams, and I do think goaltending is going to be very easy. It's just like any other playoffs where every single pass, every single shot, every single save is going to be so big that the line of difference here between these two teams is it's going to be a moment here, a moment there, a mistake here, a good play there that's going to alter the entire scope of this series. So I'm excited, man. It's going to be high intensity, high physicality, and I just can't wait. So let's take a look at the keys to the series and certainly keys to game one. I've got 3 of them here. Number 1, who establishes their pace of play first? We know Adirondack, big forechecking team. They want to go out and hit you. They want to go out and take the puck away. For Maine, I think it's more based on neutral zone control, O-zone entries, getting clean entries into the zone and getting into your cycle game, I think is going to be really important. But who can get there first? Both teams are going to try to dictate that in the first, probably 5 to 10 minutes of the game. I think whoever can get there first and be there more consistently, get to their style, I think is going to have a real edge here in game 1. Key number 2, shot mentality. For the Maine Mariners in particular, I think you really have to have a shoot early, shoot often, and shoot simply on Brodeur because he is so hard to beat. He's really given you fits this year. You got to figure that out. I think the way you do it is you just pepper him with shots, simplify your offense, and don't pass up a shot in this series. Make it kind of uncomfortable for Brodeur early. He's not a goaltender you want to allow to get into a groove. So make it uncomfortable early. Shots on goal early, often, and simply. And then I would say the last key here is what I'll call third period management. Again, can Maine manage the Adirondack forechecking? I think if they can do that in those first 40 minutes, you get to that third period, you're going to be able to outskate Adirondack. You're going to be able to really use your skating legs and get at them a little bit. They can't keep up with you from a skating perspective. So how you can get to that last period, keep it close, keep it tight. And if you can do that, I think you do have an edge in that third period, just again, because of your speed and your cardio. So who do I like? I am definitely not going to say I'm completely unbiased here. Obviously, I am a Mariners fan. I think it's going to be just such a close series. And I think, again, these are 3 big points that will carry out throughout the game at pace of play. Who gets there first? Can Maine figure out Brodeur? What happens on specialty teams? All these things are going to rope into it. I do like Maine in the series. I do like them in 7 games. I think the bigger prediction is how many of these go to overtime. I'd be shocked if we didn't have at least 2 or 3 overtime games in this series. I think it's going to be a long one. I think it's going to be a fun one. And I do have Maine in 7. Well, guys, that is what we have for you. The Maine Mariners in 7 games is my prediction. Thank you so much for checking this out today. If you haven't seen my interview with Channel 13's David Eade from earlier this week, go check that out. We talked about this series at some length, and Dave is a very knowledgeable hockey guy, and I think you guys would really appreciate what he had to say there. So if I don't see you at the arena, of course, check us out on Flow Hockey TV and the Mixlr app. Get into the chat there with Mike and his media crew. Guys, thank you so much. Until next time, everybody, be kind, show love, and God bless.